Right, welcome guys to this final session of creature design. As we can see here, Naomi and Shayo is present at the moment. We're still awaiting for the others to come in. But what's that? Now I am showcasing a little bit of sketching. Yeah, and the question arises on how do we draw the line of a complete work? Yeah, how do you draw the line, which means not drawing the line, draw the line for, or how do you say it is a complete drawing? Yeah, so when you say a complete drawing or complete concept, right, this applies for any concept art, right? So when you say a complete concept art, it solely depends depend on the brief. Okay, the brief is the ultimate key, right? So when the brief says, like for instance, we are looking at this particular drawing that I've just done for the demo sake. Yeah, so if the brief says this is a warrior, yeah, warrior that uh, has arrived, yeah, from to conquer the earth. Eh? Conquer, to not conquer, to find his worthy worthy um fight, yeah, and challenge, yeah. So this is the very brief, yeah, a very brief of what it is. It is arrived from where, yeah. So the key points will be given as well, yeah, key points. This one is a very brief of what it is in a nutshell, a summary. A warrior, the keyword, yeah, finds his worthy son. So key points is character personas that they have, or creature personas that they want to have, is menacing, yeah, he's he has tentacles, or is it tentacles, or I would say ponies, or sharp horns, fangs, must have fangs, yeah, and multiple eye, more than, no, they wouldn't. I'm just giving an example, so fangs, that is scary or sharp, yeah, and he has this mutation. Okay, so whatever beyond this is yours. Okay, so color, don't be too dark, or whichever palettes that they give, and so on and so forth. So once you can tick all these components, right, the matching components in proper, in Tara, then it is said this is done. Okay, of course before you take this you have to go through a couple of iterations, which means you're starting from, once you get this brief, this is the brief, then you start off with, a couple of drawings, yeah, say this, maybe different type of face mutation, yeah, it's skeletal, yeah, a lot of skeletal, bony. You can add on, yeah. So it depends on what kind of brief that is given to you, right? So maybe he doesn't have eye, yeah, but you're getting it's humanoid, perhaps, yeah. He's hunching. It totally depends, yeah. He's a warrior. So you give a couple of iterations like this. That's why you do the silhouette drawings and so on and so forth. Am I making sense? Hello?
Yes.
Alright. So once you give a couple of iterations like this and then you go like, oh okay, cool. What next? Right? So this example, I'm just giving a very rough, it's not the best drawing, yeah, but this is just to showcase, you know, how fast you can do stuff and so on and so forth. Okay, say something like this. Today I'm a little bit off my chart for this drawing. Yeah, my hand is a bit sore, but yeah, I think I've been doing too much of 3D and 2D altogether. But yeah, I'm trying to capture the presence of this creature that I'm trying to create. Right? I let it loose. And yeah, and to capture the persona or the presence that is going to be, you know, directly uh, add on to the concept that you're intending to do. Okay, as well as you need to know what kind of what they call to what platform are you catering this concept for. Am I making sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, so once you know that, then you go like, oh okay, that's cool, right? So now we can do so many stuff. We can think about, you know, how the whole approach that you're gonna go for. Are you gonna look for, you know, totally humanoid like this, or you want to have like a like an addition of medieval, you know, touch and so on and so forth? Or are you gonna go for cybernetic stuffs and so on and so forth? So depending what kind of style or approach that you intend to look for. Okay, say you finish roughly like this. So maybe he's carrying a big weapon, right? A little bit. It's okay if it's not right, because you can always do this, right? It's digital, so don't be worried so much. Maybe you want to have that, you know, it's a bit too goofy when you have like, you know, too small, too big head, yeah. So it totally depends. So you want the character to hunch and, you know, it looks more, you know, appropriate now and so, right? And this is one. Okay, this can be done, you know, over time. You're not gonna you're not gonna, you know, be a superhero overnight. You get what I mean? A couple of practices. You need to, you know what you're intending to do and blah 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 and so on and so forth. Say you like this silhouette, yeah, and your art director comes in and says, hey look, you know, I like this, and then I give you a couple of options. You don't need to give like 101 in a production line, but at least say three different types minimum, yeah. And in that sense, then you go like, oh okay, cool, now I can look at something else, yeah. I can add, mix and match and stuff like that. Okay, is greedy. Maybe this I want to change to a different type of creature. Okay, he's having more armors, for instance. there's a little hunch. So I'm not very worried about the clarity that I'm going to give at the moment, details, but the clarity in terms of concept viewing is sufficient. Yeah, you can see what I'm trying to do. Erase maybe here, since it is bony and stuff like that. Depends what kind of bones that you're trying to add in here. Okay, maybe something like that. I don't know. This is horrendous, but yeah. Say the bone comes from here. Some horns, perhaps. Yeah. The eyes is around here. Delete these areas. Later we can go to details and stuff like that. Yeah, a little rhino mix, perhaps. You can see. So there's 1, 2, 3 will be the final one, and so. Am I making sense? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you like this kind of designs and so on, stuff like that, once you have already ticked all or checked all these boxes that is given to you, or the key points that is given to you, and so on and so forth, then you work around it. Whatever that you want to add additions to this, or how do you want to manipulate mutation. Maybe you want to mix with what with what. Like here I mixed with the spider's head, yeah, and then there's a little snake head around here as an armor, yeah, and then humanoid body, yeah, and a little tentacles, but these tentacles are a little bit more, I would say, it's not tentacles that is live, yeah, it's not as solid as the octopus tentacles. It is somewhere there, but it is more so like, I would say, a little bit brain dead, a little bit. You get what I mean? So it is not exactly like an octopus tentacle, yeah. So it kind of mix and so on and so forth. But then again, things can change because this is in a very, very, very beginning stage. And then I add on a little bit of horns and fangs, yeah, that I picked up from the reference that I have. Perhaps I'm looking at spiders and so I picked it up, and then I exaggerated certain areas, added a little bit more bones that is popping out from the spinal cord and so, and then give more protruding rib cages and stuff like that, yeah. So this is what I intend to do, and so make sense. So then before I go for the costumes and so on and so forth, I just get the big chunk first. Alright, the silhouette, the whole entire look and feel. How does it kind of like what they call, how does it marry together? How does it how could we visualize this as in as close to what has been asked for, and so on and so forth. So once I get all this in line, then from here, once you have a couple of iterations from silhouette, yeah, after silhouette then you go for value, yeah, after values this two, sketch, sketch 1 A B C, yeah. Once you finish this, then you kind of like, oh okay, cool, this 3 will determine your first phase already. Say this one about 10 drawings. Okay, it's no point doing 1001 drawings when it doesn't fit the bill of what has been asked for. Am I making sense? Yeah, you understand? So from here, once you have 10 drawings, with all this, tiny little stuff, and be as loose as possible. Looser, okay? Make sure it is loose. So once you get it done and so on and so forth, once you get this value studies, all this is to identify what kind of characters that you're trying to lock down your character that you're intending to, you know, make it into a final piece. Yeah, because if you don't lock it down, you're going to go like a Ferris wheel. It's going to go round and round and round. It's like never ending story. So from here, normally they will pick about pick maybe maybe from 5, right? We'll reduce to 5, 3 to 5, 3 or 5. Okay, so from here you will add colors, yeah, details of big details, big details or most pronouncing details. Okay, which means what kind of say for instance he's having this nice kind of cloth that is kind of like closing his crouches and so on and so forth. Yeah, maybe from here he's quite skin tight. Yeah, and then he's kind of like having something else around here. What are the key elements that you're looking at? Pronouncing details. Yeah, maybe he's having this big say a shell that is holding kind of like for his defense. Yeah, he's holding that, and then his weapon changes. Maybe from here it changes to something else. Okay, maybe it's more on a hook instead. Yeah, what are the key things that you foresee before you go for micro details? Making sense? Yeah, so colors, these are key colors, right? So this is where you're defining stage 1, yeah, or I wouldn't say stage 1 because this is stage 1 already. You're predefining or redefining, yeah, that's a proper word. Okay, you're redefining the details, yeah, or details of acceptance and believability. Make sense? Hello?
Yep.
Alright, then moving on to stage, this is the final. Alright, so here once it is picked, normally it's 3 it's 5 if it's all nice. Okay, from here you straight away you will have all the big shape languages and all the other components. It's all laid out in Tara. Once you get this and then getting on to the final, based on this 3 you're adding on, I wouldn't say final, so it's final 1. Yeah, oops, so final, pre-final yeah. Okay, and here's polish. Okay, so in this final you will already have you're adding on details. Okay, colors, strokes, refinement, yeah, texture, and lighting. Okay, still here say about you're working on, say about you reach up to 70%, 80 to 70 to 80 lah. Make sense? And the polishing part is where this is 100% of final work ready to be printed out. So this one you work on one piece, one final piece. Okay, so enhancement, yeah, once you get your enhancement and getting the enhancement of the design by itself, yeah, persona, macro details, macros, and so on and so forth. Make sense? And this, once this is done, ta-da, done. So here 3 normally is 5 or 3. Okay, you still work on the same 3 or 5 pieces, yeah, but you will be focusing on one that you will have a little bit more. Make sense? Yeah.
Yep.
Normally it's down to 1 already.
Yep.
Yeah. So what normally is there, but if it is very pleasing and it's kind of like, oh okay, that's cool, it's this is a gold piece already, then you go like, oh okay, cool, let's do 3, yeah, but at least 1, and then the final one is only 1, yeah, and this is where the model sheets and all that will come in. Okay, so these are the, in a nutshell, this is the process of it. Make sense? Yeah, so all you have to do once you have done during this stage, you're done with all this, you just have to go to lighter color, darker color like this, and then go ahead and just paint it flat. Okay, and get the silhouette. Okay, right, and my advice is don't sit on your drawing too long. So if you're working on a piece, say for an hour or 2, yeah, take a break, right, take a little break, and then you go like, oh okay, cool, then when you come back, then you freshen up yourself. When you come back, you'll find all the mistakes that you have done, right? You know precisely what to add in, and you kind of like minus off and so on and so forth. You have to trim whichever part that needs to be trimmed, and you'll see a different perspective. Okay, any questions this far?
No.
No questions.
Can so yeah, fill color like this, understand the process already. So more processes will be it kind of like, in a nutshell, this is a process, but in terms of the details that we have to go through all this, we don't have that luxury time at this point of in this session, yeah, but we already have something in mind. I've given you an intro to what it can be done via the approaches that we are going for, and so on and so forth. Yeah, the workflow by itself. Okay, so yeah, so once that is done, color it. It's all like coloring book, treat it like a coloring book. Don't overthink too much. Yeah, so I'm I'm just going to roughly do it, because today I'm just going to show you guys of how you want to color it. Yeah, and then we're not going to go for super clean drawing. I'm just going to roughly show it to you, and then you kind of like practice. And of course we can have like a feedback sessions. Then there you can always contact me. Yeah, and I'll give you feedbacks. Okay, dokies.
Okay, okay.
Alright, cool. So this is what we have. Okay, so when you see with solid colors like this, very solid, then you'll kind of like, okay, what are the things that we need to fill in the blanks? Yeah, think of it in that manner. See, I'm not doing very precise, but approximately lah. Okay, say something like this. You go like, okay, that's cool. Da 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 da. Right. Then what you do, you add on another one more, lighter color. Okay, highlight the areas, key areas. I'm just going to work on this. Then highlight the areas that is kind of like hitting the light, where the light cast the best, the most obvious areas that is going to be visible, right? And which is the most darkest area. So here I use about 40% first. Either I'll go for dark areas first, it depends, whichever that you're comfortable with. Yeah, so you're kind of like getting the shadows casting over. So you're gonna, okay, that's cool. Yeah, so remember when you are doing chiaroscuro and so on and so forth, right? You all heard about chiaroscuro? Single light.
Yeah, we did chiaroscuro.
Yeah, use that technique.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Okay.
so what I'll do is I'll just click on this. You see the flat colors is to get the silhouette, and then going on to, this is the sill. Okay, and moving on to the shadow. Okay, and I'm just going to add a mask. So now if I color, it doesn't go out. Okay, right? Light is casting from here, all the other areas will be darker. Yeah, I'm using about 30%. Right, any folds, any creased area, or any bends and so on and so forth, yeah, that is drawing deeper, the creases and so on and so forth, those are the areas where the shadow will kind of like stick in, and so make sense. Yeah, any overlaps, right?
Yeah.
So simple. Okay, don't beat yourself too much. Yeah, it's okay to do the mistake. Approximately lah. For this area, so I'm not gonna go for roughly. So once you're comfortable, you're kind of like, okay, that's cool. This is where it kind of like brings out the character, right? Then I start off with the eye. Say I either go for the same color, yeah, either want to make it small or big, yeah. You can go for 0, give it like an eye. See that? Start off from there, and these are the highlight areas, correct? Can see now?
Correct.
Yeah, the focus is much more here. Then if you want to add in here, you can add in there's an eye for this dude and so on and so forth. Okay, so this is done. Now next is make it 30%. You can use a soft light, soft brush, sorry. Yeah, then you can go like, okay, cool. Some highlights. Okay, see that? Okay, it is custom here, here, and so. And of course, now I'm not covering much of material studies. That one I need to run a specific, special session for that. Yeah, I'm just highlighting the areas that needs to be highlighted. The lighting or the intensity of its highlights will totally be dependent on the materials that you're going to work on, right? Or what kind of surface materials that you're using, and yeah, how does it kind of like reacts to the light? Does it have a lot of very high specularity and so on and so forth? Yeah, so it will have its own parameters that you can look at. Like for instance, like this, when it's kind of like very shiny, it goes like that. Can you see now? Yeah, when it's skin, maybe it's not a little bit yeah, so it's not very shiny and so on and so forth, depending. Oily skins, maybe if it's a water based surface and so on and so forth, it may have different shininess and so. Okay, give some details, da 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 da, right? So this is where you have fun. Light comes in, yeah, a little leak, maybe about 60%. See, have to be a little logical. Yeah, so maybe I just want to highlight the fangs a little bit more, and maybe this area is a bit, whichever that is exposed to the light will have the highest contrast or highest what they call highlights. Okay, say you kind of like you like this. Okay, maybe one you can add in for this dude as well. Same goes with this. This is the face. Highlight that. Right. And moving on to the dark lines, you can go for sharp. You want to go for soft lights. It totally depends. Yeah, I'm just gonna add some cracks here and there. Okay, scary. Okay, so I'll finish this, then you can ask me questions. I'm gonna go for something dark, trying to bring out the face as much as possible. Oops. Make this maybe a little bit of white. Okay, want them to concentrate on these eyes. And the face. And a little bit of the teeth. Okay, see, you kind of like, okay, that's cool, this is what we have. Yeah, next is this is sketch note. Okay, say you like this and so on and so forth, then after this is already, say, stage 1 stage 2 already. Okay, so now on the pre-final, then this is where you have a little color, right? So what do you do? Any suggestion?
See.
Not yet, eh? Okay, cool. So when coloring time, yeah, so you have to be careful with the coloring. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this and name it as pre pre then I'm going to do a duplicate of this, Control J for duplicate, and now I merge everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a lasso tool, I'm going to delete all these dudes, or I'm just going to focus on this dude. Okay, right? So coloring, there's a couple of techniques to do it. I won't go super detail, yeah, because it'll take a lot of time. Yeah, coloring stage is not an easy stage. Yeah, I mean when you're refining. Oh, by the way, always flip your canvas image, flip canvas horizontally, vertically, always do that. Okay, that is to check whether the character is being stable or is he being you know his proportions and stuff like that is good from all angles and so. Yeah, right, moving on to color. So this is where I start coloring. So practically what I'll do is, number one is I will look for what kind of colors that I am going to look for. So normally it's going to be a bit more washed and murky, or is it going to be a very shiny and steel or materials of man-made materials and stuff like that? What kind of skin base or bony base, what kind of materials are you looking for? Yeah, once you have that in mind, say for instance I'm just going to try out a simple color. Yeah, I'm going to pick I don't know, I like this color. So if he's from outer space, he's a bit kind of like mossy feel. I'm just going to color this dude. Okay, add a filter, a mask filter, and just paint it. Horrible, right? Or feel this, bam. Okay, then what do you do?
Zipper.
You either do an overlay, or hey, that's a cool one, right? The color will not be perfect, sometimes it can be washed. Okay, say for instance you like this, there's one way of, you can start off with a color, but you see when I color different colors like this, yellow, or see, it kind of like mask the whole thing. The yellow that you intend to get, you may not get it. Am I making sense? Yeah, so normally what I'll do is I'll bring this up, I'll do a multiply, I'll reduce the opacity, and I'll just put it as a normal. And this one no, I'll just go for a color. Or yeah, color. This is to give you a little bit more ambient occlusion kind of feel, but you can also blur it like if you want to. Okay, here maybe a Gaussian blur perhaps. Right. You can preview it, say okay. If you want to increase this, see that? You can add like a control L for levels and reduce darkness, something like that. And you can start coloring. See what kind of color that you're intending to go for. Is it that, you know, greeny green, something like that, a mossy green? See that? A little of orange. So I'm not going to do a perfect one, but just a rough idea of what you can do. A little yellow, or orangish. Maybe you go for about 50%. Okay, be careful how you blend the colors. Okay, right, so these are the base that you're setting up, right? Make sense? Go for this color. See, I'm kind of coloring it, blending it, depending where do I want to highlight it. Okay, for instance, I want to have more highlights on the face. This time a little yellowish, or one type of color like this. Yeah, orange. Oops. See, I'm highlighting the most obvious areas. Have you seen? Okay, ducks. Alright, and a couple of ways, guys. So it totally depends on how do you want to see it and how do you want to bring this forward. Make sense? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. So now what I'll do is, if I were to add more of, you know, balance it out with different colors and so on, what I'll do, I'll just add another layer. I'll drop this here, and this is where I will do some soft light. See, I cannot like this make it a little glowing around here perhaps. See, give some light leaks. Yeah, where the light is kind of coming in. Maybe a little bit of yellow green perhaps. There's a color theory behind it, yeah, but that will come if you come, I mean, if you go forward in this journey of, you know, concepting and so. Okay, so if you want, you can go for 0. So this is kind of like going to highlight certain areas. See, maybe the eyes is not enough in terms of its you know, coolness. I'll add some red perhaps. See that? Give it a little bit. Huh? Can see? And extend this maybe about 30%. A little light leak. Yeah. Then you're going to go for slight blue to give that darkness. Yeah, and this is highlights. Yeah, so one you can add more. Okay, looks. And always look at your drawing from this far, right? So maybe this is a bit too much. Okay, and you can go in here. You can also change your type of brush here. You wanna go for screen. Screen is something that is super high contrast. Yeah, so say this one is about 100%. 0, see that. Maybe come here. Gonna give that glow for the eye. Okay. Yeah. Say you're happy with this, and you move on by adding in, highlights and so blah blah blah. Yeah. More and more. Some grayish. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Once you're happy with this, say you're what you have to do is another one is to add another layer. Control Shift N, say OK, drag this mask, copy and paste there again, and this time go for gradient and do that. Yeah, and you can add in like an overlay or soft light, kind of like really depending on what you intend to do. Yeah, why was it? If I'm not mistaken, it is overlay. Sorry, multiply, and you can go for Control U, change it, bring up the saturation, change the color however you want. You can see it gives you a different feel. Okay, Ken?
Can.
That is a cool one. Yeah, this is a cool one. Okay, so yeah, you can reduce the opacity to give it more highlight for these areas and so. So once you're happy with this and stuff like that, then you can bring on some textures. Yeah, and this is where you're gonna go for some R&D stuff and look for textures. Perhaps I'll just go hit this. You can go online. Yeah, look for what kind of skin. Yeah, reptile textures, say something like this. Yeah, images, yeah, something that is cool. Yeah, so I'll just show you guys an example. Furthermore, will be done as we prolong to next stage and so. Yeah, say you like this. I'm gonna copy this, paste it here. Right, I'll drag this over, say an overlay or a soft light. An overlay should do. Reduce the opacity or decrease, change the color, hue and saturation, can see. Right. Say okay. Right, I'm gonna drag this and drop it on top of this, and I'm gonna unlink this. So now the mask is fixed. I can drag this over and place it wherever I can. Okay, Control T, and this is where you can warp things. This is just an example. Okay, say you like this. See that? Right, and then look for different textures. So for instance, whichever that is cool, right? Say you like this, something that is going to fit the bill. Yeah, maybe I don't know. You get the idea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, add on like ice. You like this ice? Yeah. Say I'm gonna copy. So it's all about image manipulation after this. Okay. You can reduce this. You can overlay this. Kind of get a cool effect though. Yeah. And then bring this further in, and this time you can move things around. You can make it slightly smaller, bring it to the eye, rotate it, da da da, and so. Yeah, of course you don't just chuck things just like that. Okay, make sure that you kind of like, oh, okay, I have to amend it. Am I making sense? Can see? And if you want, you can go here. You can brush this off. Oops. Normal. Antenna. And so. Any questions? Don't just go and throw the textures just like that. Okay, you have to manipulate it. See, because certain areas it may not work. And see? And of course, if you want it to be much more nicer in a sense of its what do you call its drawing, or you want to clean up the lines and so on, please do so. Okay. Any questions?
No, sir.
Right, so I want to give it a go. Anything that you want to discuss? So that's that on the creatures. Okay, So the final will come on after this is you group this, Control J, do another one, Control E, kapush, you get one piece. Yeah, and this is where you go ahead and clean up. Add another layer. Of course, you can delete all this as you move on. You save it as final, pre, and so on and so forth. Yeah, and you can add another layer. Take a brush and start picking the colors. Start painting over it. Yeah, start making it much more cooler. See that? You can smudge certain areas that you want to smudge. Yeah, so let's say you like this. I'm gonna darken certain areas, highlight certain areas. Okay, bring out the clarity on certain components. There's folds, there's kind of like uh, the skins are kind of like extruding outwards. Yeah, give some patterns and stuff like that. Highlight the areas for the eye to be much more menacing. Yeah, you can have like no teeth tooth. Okay, and then where's the white color? There, 0. Okay. Okay, and see if you want more tooth to be seen around here. Yeah, this one will take ample of time. Okay, it is not going to be like overnight you're going to be like, oh, okay, I can do this just like that. It is not. So yeah, no point of me saying, hey, look, this one overnight you can do it. No, it doesn't work that way. Yeah, so yeah, we have focus on the focal areas. Then I don't know, kaizu of I don't know. Yeah, so this is where the details and so on and so forth will come in. You can add on more textures, some eyebrows, some depth for the nose perhaps. See, it's a little bit more darker inwards. The creatures are fine because it's a little loose as opposed to human characters. You're not going to run away from it, but yeah, you need to know both. Yeah, if you want to sustain here in this industry and so. Okay. So yeah, see, I'm starting to refine things. Yeah. And so this is a little bleeding. Okay, look. Take your time and do it. Don't take like 1 month to do a drawing, but a lot of them get confused. They're like, okay, so said, take your time. Nope. Okay, just be aware of the time frame given to you. Enough to state. What are you trying to define here with the entire drawing. Am I making sense? Yeah. see whether it's menacing enough or not. If you need to change the posture. Okay, then you can, yeah, certain areas are highlighted, and see this is the focal area, then focus on that. Yeah, the other components that you have, like yeah, it depends on what are you intending to show. Okay, go with 60% and make your brush big. I'm not using any fancy brushes. A lot of them, a lot of you know students and so on and so forth, they will be intending to, or they will be dependent on certain brushes, right? My advice is try to avoid it. Okay, you can go with brushes, that's the way to go, but after am I making sense? After you have already know your strength, how do you want to go along with this, what kind of your basic fundamentals is there already, then you can use all kind of brush and so on and so forth. Yeah, that's my take, because your foundation, if it's not strong, then what's the point? Alright, makes sense or not? If your foundation is horrible, no matter what shortcut you're using, it's not going to work. Okay, dokes. Okay, if you want to add, you can add a multiply and give it a bit of purple. Some of that. Say okay. Make it slightly bigger. Find this. Add the silhouette. And give it a little bit more life. Oops. What did I do? Here I went. See this purple. The darker you go, the darker it is become. Just be in between and say about 20%. See that? This will give you the shadow. Okay, okay.
Okie dokie.
See that? Blah blah blah. Then you can have another highlight again. The whole process goes again and again. This one soft light, and then you go like, okay, what's next? Maybe you wanna have it a little bit more whitish. The focus is here. Alright, so about 30%. Slowly bring it up. Okay. And the back. Some rim lights here and there. Rim lights around here. Okay, so once you are happy with this, little bit of light leak. This is a bit too much. Maybe around here. Yeah. Then lastly, please get maybe you can get a cloud brush if you want to. Yeah. Any sort of brush, that doesn't matter. Okay. Say cloud 4, if I'm not mistaken. That's my favorite. Okay. So now what you do is you pick a color, just color at the back. Da 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 da. blah 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 blah. Okay, maybe you want to have a little bit of, you know, toxic driven. Okay, this will help you to focus on this area. Pick some colors. Toxic. Maybe I want to take this, darken it. Okay, you can see. Just give it a little bit more. Go for maybe a little red. You can use any brush, you can use the sponge brush or whatever that you want to have. Yeah, I'm gonna go for slightly dark. Mix this. Kind of, yeah. And Control Shift I, push, Control I. Ta-da! You now have a poster. Okay. And then of course don't forget to write your name. Okay. So X and yeah. Finally add in your name, the date that you create. Give your signature. That's my white lah. Alright. So attach. What's today's date? 10th to 21. You can give it a name however you want. And so. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So I hope this has helped you to see from a different perspective.
I'll try to bring something next week.
Okay. There's yeah, you can post it in our Discord. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then let's see. Buzz me. Yeah. Happy drawing.
I'll follow the you.
So,
Yeah.
sorry. You saying?
No, I'll follow the tutorial, the step by step.
Okay. Okay. So any other things? How do you all find the sessions so far?
It was very great. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, and the technique is very cool.
Sorry. The technique is.
The drawing technique,
Uh,
like the tools and yeah.
did you lose anything that you're not understanding? Um, you want me to explain any other parts that you missed off?
Very clear.
Very clear. All right. Cool.
Yeah.
So that's cool. So I think that's it for today. So the next step for you guys is, if you want to try this out, please do so. Yeah. Try to pick one. Yeah. And then focus on one. Just one. Uh, don't don't go too much of. Don't jump into too many just yet, because this just, you're trying to capture the process first. Once you get the fundamentals, you kind of like, the techniques, of how to bring this out and so on and so forth, then you go like, oh, okay, that's cool. Now how do I apply this or implement this for the near future? Am I making sense? Yeah. So one step, baby steps. All right. So as you can see here, my lines are not very sharp. Yeah, it's very loose. So in a proper concept final piece, the lines will be much more clearer. Yeah, so much more cleaner with a proper line values and so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, if you can, if you can kind of like convey what are you trying to say, then it goes like, oh, okay, cool, that's cool. Yeah, what's next? Right? Hello?
Yeah.
Also, sir, does the final drawing have to have any lines, or is it possible to
Yeah, if you don't
not
want,
have any lines?
up to you. Certain
Okay.
certain concepts will have lines. So depending, if
Hmm.
you're going for a comic style approach, then yes.
Yeah.
But if you're not,
Okay.
then you're gonna do a finesse, rendering and so on and so forth, a very cool 3D
Hmm.
rendering. Then you don't need
Yeah.
lines, but your
Okay.
highlights and your shadows and so on and so forth will define the form. Yeah.
Hmm.
So a couple of ways of doing things.
Okay.
Yeah. I like to do this. It's much more
Um.
faster for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Anything.
Makes sense. Okay.
So it totally depends on preferences. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this was a demo just abruptly done. Was not planned in the sense of uh, this is
Yeah.
supposed to be something and so on and so forth. It was
Mm-hmm.
impromptu. So it's like straightforward. Yeah.
See. Yeah.
All right. So
Okay.
thank you guys for today. I
Thank
appreciate
you,
your
sir.
participation. I will stop the recording and we can discuss further after this. Thank